And I am pleased to welcome to the 2025 edition of Statehouse Conversations a familiar face, Democratic Representative Jon L. Bartlett of Indianapolis, District 95. And I should point out, as I often do, if I still lived in the House that I spent the early part of my life in, you would be my state representative. And I still have affection, certainly, for my neighborhood and yours. So I do have a list of needs that you, as my would-be office holder to represent me. Thanks for taking time. You have a number of bills that you are focused on, a lot in the criminal justice arena.
Yes.
Talk about some of those.
Well, first off, I think human trafficking is the worst crime that could be committed. At one time, I thought murder was. Now I think murder is number 3, rape is number 2, and human trafficking is number 1.
Talk about it, because it effectively affects a life for
human trafficking
from the time it happens till.
There's several points to human trafficking. I won't get into all of them, but then there's the sex trade, there's slave labor trade, there's the human organ trade, and there's a trade along the east and west coast where they kidnap young girls 12 to like 25. Keep them in cages, they breed them and sell the babies. So like that's just barbaric, in my opinion. To take a human being that's perfectly healthy, cut them open, and sell off body parts like car parts from a person that's perfectly healthy. So if you Google how much are human body parts on the black market, they say that one body's worth $535,000. So if you kidnap 2 people and sell off their body parts, you're an instant millionaire.
Oh, and seeing as you see that as the worst crime, and you make a compelling argument, how do you fix that? How do you stop it?
Well, legislation, but an enforcement of that. The United Nations in February 2024 said that human trafficking was a $260 billion a year industry. So when you're fighting money, that kind of money, it's hard.
And when you sit at this, look at this, that's a global, UN
Yes.
cites it as a global
Yes.
problem. Some people would say, okay, that hurts my head to think about, it's a global problem. Sitting here in the state capitol in the state of Indiana, can we hope to make a dent, at least from our perspective as Hoosiers?
I grew up, you're familiar with Brightwood, that's where I grew up. And if there's an issue, you fight. You fight. And to just throw up my hands and say, I can't do anything, that's not who I am. And we've been successful in helping some folk who have been trafficked to bring them out of that arena and to get them on the right path. So if I can just get one, I'm happy.
And if it means throwing the book in an enhanced fashion at people
Yes.
who do commit these crimes in Indiana, that
so,
now they're on your turf and you can do something about it.
Yes, absolutely. As a parent, for you to wake up and your child's just gone, you don't know if your child's dead or alive, you don't know if they're being sexually abused or they're on some slave labor camp. If it's a girl, is she in some cage and they breeding her? And then not only do you lose a child, you've got grandbabies you'll never see.
Boggles the mind, doesn't
it? It does.
Some other law enforcement justice issues I know you're focused on with
Yes,
bills this session in terms of making sure that police
I think
live
if
up to
there's
the oath they take.
I think 2 things. One, if a police officer violates or commits a sex crime, there should be an enhanced penalty. I believe that, because you've got policemen gathering information from the victim and then using that information to violate. And let me say this, it's a very few policemen that do that. It's a very few policemen that do that. But I think that law needs to be in place for those few that do that. I'm not one of those who say defund the police. We need our police officers, and I want to protect them as much as I can, but we need to weed out the bad apples.
And you mentioned another one that relates to law enforcement too.
Yes, I think if there's a police action shooting, drugs, they should be tested for drugs and alcohol on the spot.
The responding
Right,
officers.
Because it does two things. One, if your child is shot by a police officer, then you know it was a police decision, not a drug and alcohol decision. And if there's a lawsuit filed by the citizen, then when you go to court, that police officer's got documentation that said that this was strictly a police decision. I did not have drugs or alcohol in my system.
Brings clarity to that situation.
Yes. So to me, it's a win-win.
Well, Jon L. Bartlett, Representative Indianapolis District 95, my neighborhood, I thank you for taking time to talk about some of your priorities this session, and thank you for your commitment, longstanding commitment to Indianapolis, to Indiana, and to public service. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.